Lots to get to this morning, but let's start with the coronavirus. At least 16 states have now paused or reversed their plans to reopen. The latest is Arizona, where bars, gyms, and movie theaters are being closed for 30 days.
Meanwhile, Los Angeles is joining South Florida, closing county beaches over the 4th of July weekend.
We've also learned the World Health Organization will be sending a team to China next week to investigate the original source of the pandemic. We've got correspondents across the hot zones once again this morning. Let's get started with NBC's Sam Brock in Miami for us. Sam, good morning.
Savannah, Craig, good morning. Beach closures for the July 4th holiday stretching right now coast to coast from Miami, where I am, out to Los Angeles as leaders are trying to get out in front of a potential holiday spike. For businesses like these hotels behind me that stretch all the way up and down Ocean Drive, that thrive on tourists, a stinging setback. But public leaders say that is far better than further inflaming a public health crisis.
In a matter of days, beaches on both sides of the country will be closed.
They don't have the right to tell people that you can or cannot go.
First South Florida and now Los Angeles, with the county putting the clamps on ocean access for the July 4th holiday weekend.
This year we have to think about saving lives.
After recording its single biggest daily total, nearly 3,000 new cases, LA County overall now climbing past 100,000. The numbers not nearly as daunting as the reality for the Garay family.
My last words to my dad was, "Dad, I don't think I'm gonna make it." And I felt like maybe my dad was like, "Hey, son, if you're going, I'm going too."
Richard Garay, heartbroken after losing his father to COVID-19. 28 members of his family were diagnosed with the virus. Their patriarch, Vidal, dying the day before Father's Day.
The last thing that my dad saw was me suffocating. And I had no chance of telling my dad, "Hey, Dad, I'm okay."
Now governors in states strained from rising cases are trying to prevent future pain, including Arizona's head of state, who just pulled the plug on bars, gyms, and pools for a minimum of 30 days.
We can't be under any illusion that this virus is going to go away on its own. Our expectation is that next week our numbers will be worse.
26 states are already seeing a rise in cases, with 11 looking at a sharp jump of 100% or more over the last 14 days. That includes Florida, rocked by a 5-fold increase in daily cases in 2 weeks, prompting the holiday beach closures that caught hotels like the famed Ocean Drive Clevelander off guard.
Our hotel guests come to go to the beach. So now, most of our hotel guests have canceled their reservations.
And hotels like this one spend months planning their July 4th celebrations. In other news in Florida right now, Jacksonville just passed a mandatory requirement on masks in indoor spaces. That, guys, could potentially impact the Republican National Convention in August. Savannah, back to you.
All right, Sam Brock leading us off. Sam, thank you.
From Florida to Texas now, and the spike there where doctors are issuing a stark new warning to young people especially, as nearly 4,300 new cases of COVID-19 were reported there on Monday alone. NBC's Joe Fryer is in Houston for us once again this morning. Joe, good morning to you.
Craig, good morning. Texas once again shattered its record for hospitalizations. Nearly 6,000 patients statewide are now in hospital beds here, with fears that number will only grow in the coming weeks.
This morning, the coronavirus surge continues in Texas. Infections statewide now topping 150,000 with just over 2,400 deaths. Doctors are sounding the alarm as infections skyrocket.
We are definitely seeing this affect young people, and they're getting quite ill.
At Houston Methodist's 8 hospitals, about 60% of the COVID-19 patients are now under 50. On the front lines in Houston, Dr. Brad Lembeck is seeing a disturbing increase in young adults.
We've had a broad age group, even in our 20s, that end up in our intensive care unit on life support. The other thing that's concerning is those young individuals live with older people.
Texas bars remain closed and restaurants are limited to half capacity. For thousands of students hoping to return to UT Austin this fall, any in-person classes will be capped at 40%. Masks will be mandatory.
People that are denying the virus even being real is absolutely insane to me.
23-year-old law student Peyton Chesser is recovering from COVID. She says stopping the virus is everyone's responsibility.
Wearing masks, taking proper precautions. If you feel bad, don't go out. It's not all about one individual. It's about everyone.
36-year-old Veronica Medrano was hospitalized for 12 days.
It was pretty scary. I had never been hospitalized before.
Her parents and brother Jaden were also sick with COVID. They all recovered.
Even though I'm a 21-year-old, it still hit me pretty hard.
But Curtis and Betty Tarpley did not survive the virus. Together for 53 years, they died within an hour of each other, holding hands.
They walked themselves in the emergency room, and then that's it. You don't see them again.
Tim Tarpley's last words to his mother were sent by text.
Just said that, she was a great mom, but she's going to be a better angel.
Dr. Lemke told me if cases peak in July, even at the end of July, he thinks hospitals will be okay. But if cases continue to increase after July, that could be a bigger problem. Craig?
All right. Joe Fryer for us there in Houston. Joe, thank you.
We have a lot more ahead, including New Jersey's governor will join us live. New Jersey's pausing its reopening now. We'll talk to him about that next hour. But first to the breaking news out of Washington this morning, and it has to do with the story that Russia allegedly paid bounties on the lives of U.S. troops overseas. This morning, there are reports that the White House was aware of that intelligence as early as last year. We've got reaction from the Trump administration and Russia. Let's start with NBC's Kristen Welker at the White House for us this morning. Kristen, good morning to you.
Hi, Savannah. Good morning to you. The White House will brief Democratic members of Congress about the Russia plot today. After briefing Republicans Monday, it's unusual to have two separate ones for members of different parties. It does come amid bipartisan calls for answers about what the president knew and when he knew it.
This morning, the fallout intensifying over that explosive report. The Russians offered the Taliban money for killing U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan. The New York Times reporting overnight that American officials provided a written briefing to President Trump about the alleged plot in February. Citing multiple officials familiar with the matter, the Times says the investigation, quote, has focused in part on an April 2019 car bombing that killed 3 Marines as one such potential attack. The Associated Press reporting the president was briefed on the issue as far back as March of 2019, including by then National Security Advisor John Bolton. But that undercuts the central argument of the White House that the president has not been briefed on the issue, a point echoed by his National Security Advisor in a statement overnight. Robert O'Brien writing in part, because the allegations in recent press articles have not been verified or substantiated by the intelligence community, President Trump had not been briefed on the items. White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany asked earlier in the day about whether the information was included in one of the president's written briefings.
He was not personally briefed on the matter. That is all I can share with you today.
Top officials also blasting the leaked information, including CIA Director Gina Haspel, who wrote overnight, leaks compromise and disrupt the critical interagency work to collect, assess, and describe culpability. It all comes amid bipartisan calls for answers. In just hours, House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff will be among 9 Democratic lawmakers briefed on the matter at the White House.
Is this another situation where the president either was told and just rejects it, or his people are too scared to tell him because it contradicts this narrative of Vladimir Putin being his buddy?
Now, overnight, a spokesperson for John Bolton said no comment when asked by NBC News about the reports that Bolton had briefed the president on the Russia matter last year. Meanwhile, veteran reporter Carl Bernstein, who helped break the Watergate scandal, reports that based on hundreds of highly classified phone calls with foreign leaders, President Trump was so, quote, consistently unprepared for serious discussions that a number of his former senior officials believed he posed a danger to national security. Now, a White House official fired back at that, saying, quote, President Trump is a world-class negotiator who has consistently furthered America's interests on the world stage. Savannah, back to you.
Kristen Welker at the White House. Kristen, thank you.
A top Russian official is now responding to those bounty allegations in a new interview with today's senior international correspondent, Keir Simmons. Keir, good morning to you. What's Moscow saying?
Hey, Craig, good morning to you. Well, President Putin's spokesman denying to me that a secretive Russian intelligence unit was involved in these allegations, saying the Kremlin has received no complaint from the White House, and not for the first time, Russia using President Trump's own tweets to underscore its case. President Putin's spokesman telling NBC News that President Trump's tweet claiming U.S. intelligence didn't find credible information absolves Russia of blame.
And those statements indicate that those reports actually were not so valuable and not so trustful. So that's why we'd better stick to those statements of the President of the United States.
Dmitry Peskov using forceful language.
If Russia was paying money to reward members of the Taliban for the killing of American soldiers, would you consider that to be an act of aggression by Russia? Would you see that as serious as that?
I don't think that this situation is possible ever. No, maybe I can sound a little bit rude, but this is a 100% bull. It's non-diplomatic thing, but it's a bull.
That's strong, Mr. President.
As simple as that.
It's not the first time Russia's military intelligence, called the GRU, has been named in reports of secret Russian operations overseas. 12 GRU officers were indicted during the Mueller inquiry on charges they hacked computers belonging to Democrats in order to impact the 2016 election. And in 2018, the British government accused GRU operatives of carrying out the attempted poisoning of one of their own, former officer Sergei Skripal and his daughter in the UK. That led to the expulsion of Russian diplomats by more than 20 Western allies, including the US. Now there are calls for action over the Afghanistan claims.
Well, listen, in general, America is, introducing so-called sanctions once in a while. Of course, this is a joke. This is a joke.
And this week, Russians are voting on whether to allow the Russian president to stand for election for 12 more years, Craig. It means President Putin could be in office leading his country for 36 years. Whatever America decides to do now could have long-term consequences, Craig.
Keir Simmons for us this morning in London. Keir, thank you.
Much more to get to this morning, including the U.S. Supreme Court expected to hand down more decisions this morning as it works toward the end of its term. And it comes on the heels of yesterday's major ruling on abortion. Chief Justice John Roberts serving as the man in the middle once again. NBC's Justice correspondent Pete Williams with more on that. Pete, good morning.
Savannah, this last day of June would normally be the final day for Supreme Court rulings, but because of the pandemic, 10 cases remain, and the Chief Justice could furnish more twists as this normally conservative court issues a string of surprising decisions.
The latest surprise, Monday's ruling on abortion rights, striking down a Louisiana law that would have required doctors performing abortions to have admitting privileges at nearby hospitals. The challenger said it was medically unnecessary and would have left the entire state with just a single doctor to offer those services.
Had to pause everything and run down the hall to yell at the staff, we won, we won. Had we lost this case, 2 of the 3 clinics currently providing abortion care would have probably had to close.
Chief Justice John Roberts joined the court's 4 more liberal members in the 5-4 decision. He said the law was identical to one from Texas that the court struck down 4 years ago. Even though he dissented in that Texas case, he said it's now binding precedent, so Louisiana's law cannot stand. Roberts has been key to some of the biggest surprises this term, casting the deciding vote to save the DACA program that allows young, undocumented people known as dreamers to remain in the U.S., and joining the court's 6-3 majority in saying that existing civil rights laws ban discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. But what does that mean for the last big decisions to come on efforts by Congress and a New York prosecutor to get President Trump's taxes and financial records? There is precedent. 2 previous rulings said Presidents Nixon and Clinton were not immune to court demands for documents and testimony. But the Trump cases seek a president's personal records from his bankers and accountants, potentially big differences.
The Chief Justice has shown himself to be enough of a centrist this term that the White House has reason to be worried, even with 2 of President Trump's appointees now on the court. Savannah.
Pete Williams in Washington. Pete, we'll see you a little bit later.
Meanwhile, a California woman is in the hospital because she was gored by a bison at Yellowstone National Park. The 72-year-old woman was reportedly trying to take photos of the bison at the time. Park officials say she approached it within 10 feet multiple times, and the bison most likely felt threatened. The park urges people to keep a minimum of 25 yards away from animals like bison and elk. That woman was airlifted to an Idaho hospital. Her condition is not known. We should also point out we do not know if the picture of that, but we don't know if that was the bison in question.
No.
That may have just been
Could have been some file footage.
Right, of the bison. We don't know if that was the bison that actually gored.
We don't. Craig, let's turn to the weather, shall we? It's almost 18 minutes after the hour. Dylan, what you got?
Good morning, guys. Nice to see you on this Tuesday morning. And we've got some heat. In fact, Washington, D.C., in the middle of its first heat wave of the season. We've had several days with temperatures at 90 degrees or higher, and we do have some heat advisories right through the middle of the country where the heat and the humidity will combine to make it feel like it's well over 100 degrees. So oppressive heat. Temperatures themselves will be up around 101 in Lubbock, Texas. Also 104 a little farther to the north there, but the heat index is a little bit lower because humidity isn't as high in the western part of the state, but you move to the east and that's where it'll feel like it's about 100 to 105. You go further north and we are looking for temperatures in the 80s and 90s. It'll feel like it's in the mid 90s with the humidity, and the heat is very high, especially down through Florida too, where the heat index feels like it's above 105 degrees and will likely break some records down across Florida. This heat will continue through the next couple of days. We're looking for highs to stay in the mid to upper 80s and lower 90s through the end of the week.